and welcome to Almond Finance and Wealth Report. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the program. As you know, we're a source for latest happenings in the financial services sector of the economy. I am Jennifer Obidi-Ebube. On this edition of the program, we take a breather from our usual lineup to bring you highlights of the 2016 National Insurance Conference that took place recently at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. The theme was Expanding National Resources and Infrastructure in Challenging Times. Declaring the conference open, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, said that there is need for the insurance industry to adequately recapitalize for efficiency. The three-day conference provided a platform for insurance professionals and policymakers to deliberate on how this all-important sector can contribute meaningfully to the growth and development of the economy.
Insurance business is not done the way it's obtained in the other parts of the world. We don't want to criticize you. We want you to be our friend. If you want to go into real criticism, Emajegba.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the lineup. Details in just a moment. Please stay with us.
The idea of hosting a unified national conference by the insurance industry was a conception of the Insurance Industry Consultative Council (IICC) as a way of projecting the Nigerian insurance industry as a unified subsector that would attract better respect and recognition by members of the public and relevant stakeholders. With the success of the maiden edition in 2015, the second edition was recently held at the Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. The theme was Expanding National Resources and Infrastructure in Challenging Times. Many believe that the theme of the conference this year could not have been more timely and apt than now, when the policy direction of the present administration is towards rebuilding a viral national economy through diversification and expansion of national and infrastructural resources. Welcoming delegates to the conference, the Commissioner for Insurance, who was the chief host, Alhaji Muhammad Kari, said that government must ensure the protection of public assets through necessary insurances and providing funds to pay for them.
The effort of the market need to continue to be supported by government and the legislature. Government need to ensure adequate protection of public assets and the timely funding of such. And the legislation need to increase their oversight function of the activities of the sector, including passing the appropriate legislation when required. Government need to also keep in mind the Nigerian laws that domesticate most classes of insurance in this country when they enter into international agreements and treaties.
It is a known fact that there cannot be genuine and sustainable economic growth and development without a vibrant insurance industry to support it. In her opening remarks, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, stated that the insurance industry must embark on incremental recapitalization to improve their size and capacity.
The industry needs to recapitalize. Capital levels were last raised in 2007. To take true advantage of the opportunity for the industry, we've got to recapitalize, we've got to reposition. The top three banks have capital in excess of 300 billion each. The top three insurers have capital of between 14 billion and 25 billion. It's just not enough for the size of the market. The insurance sector needs to raise minimum capital requirements in a manner that is comparative to what happened in the banking sector in the last 2 to 3 decades. Incremental increases in capital to improve the size and scope and capacity of the industry. It will raise the capacity and the clout. It will enable the industry to attract and retain the best people, to invest in technology and product awareness needed to support the industry.
With her brief remarks, Mrs. Adeosun proceeded to formally declare the 2016 National Insurance Conference open. With the opening formalities over, delegates settled down for serious deliberations on the theme and sub-theme papers of the conference. The first paper, which is the theme of the conference, Expanding National Resources and Infrastructure in Challenging Times, was taken by Dr. Biodun Adedipe, CEO B Associates, and Mr. Kunle Elebute, Country Managing Partner, KPMG Nigeria. Moderator was Mr. Edi Efekwa, Chairman, Nigerian Insurers Association. In his presentation, Dr. Adedipe noted that both income growth and infrastructural improvement are mutually reinforcing.
There is also a relationship I want to bring to our attention between income growth and infrastructure improvement. Both of them are mutually reinforcing. And the idea simply is that if you improve infrastructure, you create an environment for income to grow. But once income begins to grow, it also puts a demand for new infrastructure, in which case both of them more or less reinforce each other. And I have a simple explanation for that, which I will come to in my next slide. Now, the state of infrastructure attracts new investments in two different ways. Number one, if it is world-class, it makes the business climate competitive and also to attract new investments, which of course is the common sentiment among global investors, where we say global capital formation is very, very mobile. Now, the other perspective is if it is not world-class, then it creates opportunities for direct investments in infrastructure itself, either to create new infrastructure, rehabilitate existing ones that are in poor shape, or indeed talk about maintenance and operation. Just a quick line there. Oftentimes, when we plan for infrastructure, and this is peculiar to us in Nigeria, and very few other countries around the world, when we put money down on a new infrastructure project, hardly do we remember the need to also recognize maintenance and the operation of that infrastructure.
In his own presentation, Mr. Lebute recommended that the insurance industry should collectively establish an insurance infrastructure investment fund.
I think it's about time that the insurance industry considers establishing a collective insurance infrastructure investment fund with contributions from the industry over the next 10 years. Okay? And then appoint an infrastructure fund manager, which will determine the infrastructure assets to invest in, either directly or via project finance bonds. The fund investment committee will ultimately be responsible for making final investment decisions. What are the benefits of investing in infrastructure? Stable returns, reliable cash flow and low volatility, portfolio diversification, hedge against inflation, because the concession agreement is linked to changes in inflation rates. For those, if it's a toll road, for example, you adjust the tariff on the toll road if there's inflation. If it's an airport or a port, adjust the tariff where there's inflation. And long-term duration to match long-term liabilities.
The second paper of the conference focused on managing risk associated with non-oil resources exploration. Guest speaker was Ambassador B. Olorufemi. Discussants were Mr. Waheed Olagunju, Acting Chief Executive Officer, Bank of Industry, Mr. Patrick Ojeka, Director, Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals, Mr. Shino Elushaki, Executive Director, Industrial and General Insurance, and Mr. Raf Okpara, President, Institute of Laws and Justice of Nigeria, Eland. In his submission, Mr. Olagunju stated that the country cannot make meaningful progress without infrastructure, be it in agriculture, manufacturing, or mining.
We cannot make any progress without infrastructure in manufacturing or in agriculture or solid minerals. And Bill Adedipe said, for us to embark on an infrastructure project, it will not be social development. There must be a business case. In other words, that project must be able to pay its way. There must be demand. There must be value proposition. People must be able to pay for whatever it is. That's why there can be return on investments. Because the investors will not be charitable people or philanthropists. Equity or debt, they all expect returns. So that means there must be effective purchasing power. How do we achieve effective purchasing power in a country of 180 million? A population can be an asset, it can be a liability. If it's productive, then population is an asset. If it's unproductive, it's a liability.
The third paper of the conference focused on insurance as a vehicle for agricultural development. Guest speaker was Mr. Adelaja Adeshino of Bedlam Consult. Discussants were Ms. Laura Mati, Assistant Vice President, Swiss Re Insurance Company Limited; Prince Dakbo Adeshida, who stood in for Chief Dr. Femi Koka, President of Farmers Association of Nigeria; and Mr. Bashir Hilari Binji, Acting Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, NAIC. Moderator was Mr. Adim Jibuno of Hess Holdings. In his presentation, Dr. Adeshino stated that if insurance must be a vehicle to move agribusiness forward, government must be ready to subsidize premium across all players in agricultural insurance.
Why can't we have a voice in government and let them know that there is need to subsidize premium? The premium subsidy that is being given at the moment is for NAIC, that is the risk covered by Nigerian Insurance Corporation, Nigerian Agri Insurance Corporation. But for other private players, they are not covered. So if we want insurance to be a vehicle to move our agri forward, then we should advocate that the 50% subsidy that government is giving should cover all players in the industry, and that will help to move the industry forward.
In his submission during the discussion, Mr. Binji of NAIC said that pricing is a major challenge in agribusiness.
Pricing has always been a major challenge. When you look at the agri insurance as it is done in Nigeria, I think it is probably the cheapest in the world. We are in a situation whereby we are charging 2% for crop. Okay, let's say 4% with even the subsidy. So 2%, even when you do a rough calculation, I mean 4%, how many of this 4% are you going to charge to arrive at 100%? That means it will take you almost 25 years to even break even. And I cannot see any farmer, real farmer that is going to the farm and within 25 years not even claiming having a catastrophic loss. When you talk of areas of livestock, let's take poultry for example, it is almost a loss business. As you are doing it, you know you are paying claim. Not even to talk of break even is even a loss. So pricing is really, really a challenge. Most countries, they charge up to 9%, 10%. Even for catastrophic loss alone, most people charge up to 4%. That is like the limited cover for agri insurance.
The fourth paper of the conference focused on the expected role of insurance in infrastructural development. Guest speaker was Mr. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing. Discussants were Professor Charles Iyate, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Mortgage Refinancing Co. Limited; Mr. Adekunle Abdul Razak Oyinloye, Managing Director, The Infrastructure Bank PLC; and Mr. Wale Oshin, Group Managing Director, Custodian and Allied Insurance PLC. Moderator was Mr. Ganiyu Musa, Group Managing Director, Cornerstone Insurance PLC. In his thought-provoking presentation, Mr. Fashola stated that the insurance industry can play a huge role in galvanizing governments at all levels to embrace the culture of maintenance of public assets.
How many of us here, practitioners, have insurance policies with state governments in Nigeria to cover the public schools, to cover the public hospitals, the roads and the bridges? So how many times have school walls collapsed and killed children? Was that excluded? Is that an exempted clause? But that's business we didn't see or we didn't take if we saw it. So can we truly speak of insurance and infrastructure development without taking up these glaring economic opportunities? Can we? Because there are opportunities for growth, there are opportunities for jobs.
So it seems to me, again, that when we speak of a lack of maintenance culture in the way that we talk about the way we look after our public assets, perhaps what we fail to see is the role that insurance can play in galvanizing all of us into a culture of maintenance. Because once you insure something, you have the responsibility to look after it. I know that for free. Because once they insure your house, they come and check your doors, you don't put proper security. In fact, they used to prescribe one pipe, chop. You still do it? So they impose also obligations on you, and that is the maintenance obligation. So perhaps we haven't done that because there was no cover. Perhaps, I may be wrong.
In his submission during the discussion segment, Professor Iyanti said that what is required of the insurance industry in Nigeria is innovation.
What is required is for us to be innovative in our approach. Innovative in the context that we do not just wait for the infrastructure to be created, but to be part of the creation of that infrastructure. And I have illustrated the collateral replacement insurance is a major opportunity to make home ownership a reality by supporting those who are not able to pay their deposit to the tune of what is required. The title replacement or title, the bridging of the title during the perfection period by an insurance is another big opportunity. The cover for life as well as disability is an important part, and of course, the home and property content is another important part. So housing should not just be seen as housing in itself. Housing should be seen as a product for driving and growing and developing the insurance industry.
While innovation is key in the insurance industry for the much expected nexus between them and infrastructural development, issues of legislations guiding investment of insurance funds must also be addressed. There are no shortages of compulsory insurances in Nigeria, but implementation has remained a huge challenge. The critical issues of compulsory insurances was brought to the fore in a panel of discussion moderated by Alhaji Bala Zakariu. Discussants were Mr. Emmanuel Okunore, President of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers (NCRIB), Mr. Edi Efekwa, Chairman Nigerian Insurers Association (NIA), Mr. Oketa Chidi Emmanuel of the Federal Fire Service, and Mr. C.L. Okpodu, Head of Insurance, Federal Road Safety Corps, and Alhaji Mohammed Kari, Commissioner for Insurance. In line with international standards, the conference featured breakout sessions where delegates discussed issues affecting the insurance industry and how they can contribute maximally to the critical sectors of the economy. The first breakout session, chaired by Mr. Shola Tinubu, Managing Director of Skip Nigeria, looked at non-oil resources exploration. Session 2, chaired by Ms. Tola Adegbayi, Executive Director, Leadway Assurance Limited, looked at insurance as a vehicle for agricultural development, while the last session, chaired by Mr. G.U.S. Wigo, Managing Director, Linkage Assurance PLC, looked at the expected role of insurance in infrastructural development. Moderating the summary of the breakout session was Mrs. Sheyi Ifaturoti. The high point of the 2016 National Insurance Conference was a closing dinner aptly tagged the Grand Ball. It provided an atmosphere for relaxation and also to say goodbye to friends and colleagues. Delegates were treated to sumptuous meal and good music supplied in abundance by the police band. And so slowly but surely, the 2016 National Insurance Conference came to a close. The Chairman Planning Committee and her team were appreciated for a job well done. Some of the communiques reached at the conference this year were as follows. No doubt, the 2016 National Insurance Conference was a huge success. The stage is now set for the 2017 edition, which will again provide another avenue for the insurance industry to showcase its brand and enhance its relevance to various stakeholders and the nation at large.
Alright, that's all we can take on this edition of the program. I do hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Join us again next week, same time, same station, for a fresh new package. In the meantime, do feel free to contact us for sponsorship details and other inquiries on 01-7763-981, 080-335-7879 or 090-9685-2685. Or you can send us an email on almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. Do visit our website on almondreports.com. Like us on our Facebook page, Almond Finance and Wealth Reports, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Almond Reports TV, to view past episodes of this program. Again, I urge you to join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. live on Niger FM 102.7 for our Pidgin English program, Waiting Insurance They Do Sef. We're also available on WhatsApp on 080-335-7879, and you can follow us on Twitter at Madam Insurance. This program also airs on BCOS Television every Thursday by 6 p.m. for those in Ibadan and environs. Many thanks to Mrs. Yetunde Ilori, Chairman Planning Committee of the National Insurance Conference, and her team for making Almond a part of the conference this year. We look forward to future involvements. My name is Jennifer Obidiewube. Until next week, do have yourselves a wonderful time. Bye-bye.